Thanks for joining us again for our little bit of coding. This time we have Enrique with us. Enrique is probably the most knowledgeable about these tools. Jasper and I, we just stumbling around and trying to figure out what I do. At least I am. But Enrique actually knows what he's doing. So
no, the expectations on my side. I don't think it's just a few more months of experience than you.
Well, in this tool setup, few more months is like a lifetime of experience. So that's it. So to catch up anybody who might be joining, we've been doing, this is now third time we do this. We've been building a thumbnail tool for our kind of podcast.
It's our fourth one, actually.
Fourth one, okay. Yeah. Time flies when you have fun. But the idea is basically build something that we can use to generate thumbnails, because none of us are visually talented enough to be able to actually do anything. So Jasper, over to you if you want to give a quick recap.
Yeah, sure. So where we got to last time is, I'm going to do a demo in a sec, but where we got to last time is we were trying to figure out to explain really quickly, what we want to do is we don't want to just have standard pictures of ourselves in different poses that we put in. You know, it's quite a common thing to create YouTube thumbnails. What we want to do is we want to have screenshots from the actual video that we then take that screenshot, we cut out the people in the screenshot. It could be two, typically two, it could be three or something. And then we arrange those in the thumbnail. So the challenge was, how do we cut out those people? And we jumped into the stream on Friday without having really done any research on this topic. So there was a lot of scratching heads and trying things that sort of worked and didn't work. And we had a sort of basic idea that we take a screenshot, we remove the background and cover it in green. And the idea is then we can, using, was it OpenCV, I think it was, our library, we can then cut out the figures themselves. So I was able then afterwards on Friday evening to take it a little bit further. So let me demo it, and then I'll explain what's going on. So let me share this guy here, and I'll spare. Oh, no, I don't want to see picture in picture. So let me get to. So I'm running this, Enrique. I'm running this code editor called Z. So it's pretty simple. I would recommend having a look at it if you want. So, okay, so let me start. So that's the startup script. I think you can use that on Mac as well, Enrique.
Yeah, that's the SH files will be fine. You're doing it on, you're using a Linux machine, of course, yeah.
So I think Juhani can't use it because he's using Windows.
I'm on Windows. So we have all the operating systems now.
So I think that started up all right. So basically what it's doing is starting now. I think this is different to last time, but it's starting a front end and back end. Oh, you've gone silent, Enrique, suddenly. Anyway, let me jump into a demo quickly. So the UI is kind of the same as before. I'm going to add a person cutout. So so we've got some screenshots that we've been using before. I'm going to use one we haven't seen yet last week. So it's this one here. So it's uploading, it's doing the detection, and there you go. It's added the cutout and it's removed the background. So it hasn't split them into pieces yet, but it's basically now removed all of the background and all of the other things. So let me just do another one just to because this is one of the things we came across, is that it was working strangely enough like on one example image, but then failing on the other example images. So here we go. I mean, the size is a bit small, but it can be expanded and so forth. But it's working pretty reliably. I mean, Juhani's head is a bit sort of cut in a bit of a strange way. Yeah, I think it might be your headphones or something. So it's not perfect, but I think it's going to depend a little bit on the screen that's chosen. So anyway, so that's kind of nice, and it worked kind of quickly. It's actually slower to upload the photo than it is to actually do the image manipulation. So let me just flick back to Zed, and I'll kind of explain what Claude helped me do, basically. So it was kind of interesting because by the time we reached the end of the screen, we were trying to use Gemini. In fact, we're successfully using Gemini to cut out the background, right? So we're sending an API call to Gemini, take this image, cut out the background, and return it. That's great. And based on what that was doing, it seemed like that was enough of a clue to Claude at that stage to understand really what we were trying to do and understand the result, to suggest a completely different approach. So this is what I added to the technical documentation. So it's using this Python library. Of course, we're not deep Python guys, so we wouldn't have heard of this one before. This RemBG, remove background library. And what it's actually doing is it's using an AI model, but more like a machine learning model in the background that's running locally. And that's specialized only for cutting out backgrounds and that sort of thing. So that's all it does. And because it gets bundled with the project, the whole thing essentially is now encapsulated. All the API calls to Gemini are gone, and the whole thing just works locally. So there you go. Yeah, so that's where we got to.
So my thought about the next steps, I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
In general, this kind of automation flows are great as long as they work perfectly, but they never do, like we see with the headphones. In general, what I would like to do would to kind of split the workflow in pieces and allow manual control in between the different workflow parts.
Yeah.
So I would probably create a new user interface that starts from uploading an image, and it would just isolate things, say, okay, this is okay, go to the next step, tweak that step, go to the next step, okay, and then loop it back to the whatever we're doing. So then basically we can control the workflow in the middle. My worry is that if you just do whole thing and one thing goes wrong, nothing works, right?
Yeah, so my understanding from end of last week was we also wanted to be able to have various options of which images we use, because finding the perfect shot where both people are looking kind of good is tricky. I mean, I think that we could also try and do something like in each video, right at the end, just take another 30 seconds or something to do sort of still images of us looking straight at the camera or doing some sort of pose. But maybe that's kind of a bit weird.
I think it's a little bit like that can be a different problem as well. So firstly, if you can fine tune the workflow from image to thumbnail, then we can figure out the workflow from video to the image.
Well, that's true.
That could be a different, because if we have this kind of step-by-step process, basically the first step will then eventually be look at this video and give me suggestions which ones like if you upload a video to YouTube, you can say, hey, propose me a thumbnail, automatic thumbnail, then it gives you like 3 different ones. Right. You say, I want that one. So I think that workflow could be quite good. Yeah. We can just use whatever tool, either we manually cap images and we upload them into the middle of the workflow, or we get the video processing going. But this is something, Enrique, what I would like to ask from you, because you've been doing a lot of local models and a lot of processing on your computer.
Oops, I think we lost Juhani.
Yeah, we lost sound. Yeah.
I watched the video.
Yeah, Juhani, we lost you for about 20 seconds.
I think I was lagging. Sorry, I was lagging. So we could just take the video and put it on YouTube and let Gemini watch it. But that's going to use a lot of tokens, a lot of power. And I think that's the wrong thing to do. I don't think we want Gemini to look at all of the videos all the time that we upload. So Enrique, do you have a thought how we could do it without having an external dependency to find a good screenshot?
I'm not really sure. I mean, we can give it a try and see if this works with a local model. My initial thought is that probably it's not going to work my experience with local models, it's they work well for simple tasks. Take these 3 documents, summarize them, extract information, do it with a few files or a few paragraphs. The moment you try to start coding with something like even with Gemma 4, I think the latest model which you can download, which is quantified, is not the entire thing of several terabytes. I think it's like only 50 or 60 gigabytes. The moment you start coding, it needs to read the entire context, right? Like if you're doing an Android application, you need to read all the build Gradle files, all the Java, Kotlin resources, file structure. And it just doesn't work very well. The context is small. It doesn't run super quick on a machine. I'm personally running this on the Mac Mini 24 gigabytes of RAM, so it's also yeah, it's slow. But we could give it a try. I think one of the things that for example, LLMs are good at summarizing things. So we could, if we have an entire video at the end is a set of frames, right? So we could even ask an LLM, like, is there any way to summarize this video or extract information from keyframes or reduce somehow the full amount of information that you need in order to come up with a full frame, and see what the LLM says. I found it also a good way to start guiding the LLMs and see how they act. In any case, if we want or you want to do the experiment, Jasper, I've been using something called LM Studio. I don't know if you have tried it on your computer. I don't even know if they have a version for Linux. Let me check.
My worry a bit is the hardware that some of us are running on and how capable that is. So I'm currently running on a Tuxedo Mini. It's just kind of like a mini form factor desktop with a AMD processor. It's pretty weak in terms of, I don't think it really will be able to run any model successfully. I mean, my thought, Juhani, is like maybe initially we use an API key and get it working initially without anything local, and then sort of see from there whether we can then migrate it to something running locally or something like that.
So one thing also regarding the API keys, I talked about this privately with Juhani before. When you are paying a subscription, for example, the Gemini Pro Ultra gives you it's not super clear to me whether it's unlimited tokens. I think the way they frame it is you get a higher amount of tokens, but they're not open about this. With maybe it's intentional, right? Like you get more, so please get the subscription. But it's not including the API key. Everything that goes through the API key, at least on Gemini, but I can imagine that the other companies are following a similar model. It's needs to be paid via tokens. Like if you're using these tokens via the API key, then you need to pay the amount of money at the end. It makes sense, right? Because if you imagine, you could say like we pay this 250 euros per month subscription, and then we hook this in our website, which is going to be using this very intensively. You could be burning thousands of them at a very low price.
Well, in this case, it's probably not too bad because we're going to be running just us. There's no kind of scaling up.
Yeah.
But okay, let's break the problem down into 2 separate things. I think we need to have a different chunk of code that takes screenshots and then pipes it into a pipeline that allows the user to fine-tune the screenshots. How do we want to do this? Do you want to, Jasper, you want to try coding or?
I could drive a bit more coding. Let me just grab that. I just want to, so I can see you guys. So do you want to start, Juhani, with having a separate, start with visual, right? A separate screen to process the images, right?
That's what I would do, because it kind of it mentally also breaks the, it makes it easier to say, okay, let's just go. My approach building this kind of stuff rapidly is that I just want to get the initial framework, like a rough screen, a rough functionality there, because you don't really know what you're going to actually be building. So you just build something now, and then when you're running it, you kind of iterate over it.
Okay, so I'm just going to switch to Gemini 3.1 Pro, because I kind of got a sense that I might be better at doing the UI. Okay, so we're going to have to also introduce some navigation, right? So should we just do tab navigation at the top for now, or what do you want to do?
Well, what it could do is that we have this, there's a workflow, there's a natural
Yeah.
place to start workflow, which is basically you select to upload an asset. That could start a workflow. Say, okay, it's like a wizard basically.
Ah, right. So
So it
you
just
see
goes to
something
a
a
new
little bit more
screen.
linear, do you?
Yeah, I think it's a linear. So we will upload
Okay.
an image. You select and upload the
Okay.
image. Once the image is uploaded, it starts a new view, and it says, okay, here's the image. Do the next step. Do the next step, because then it will allow us to isolate it.
Okay.
And at the end, once we figure out what we're actually going to be doing, we can refactor it quite easily. Say, okay, let's make it a bit simpler, easier to use, or whatever.
In the UI like this. So step 1 is upload a video, right?
Well, let's start from image, right? Because I
You
think
just want to do it, let's just start uploading
I
the
would
image,
like to do the image workflow, because that's we have control. That's almost done, right?
Yeah,
This
okay.
is if we cut that, this is a hard cut for module. The whatever is gonna kind of handle the video is gonna just feed still images to the next workflow. So then it's fully separate, right? They don't have to know about each other, and that allows you.
So in this case, if for the first step, let's say the first step is to upload multiple, one or more screenshots. Okay, one or more screenshots from YouTube videos. Each time a screenshot is uploaded, the background is automatically removed. Let's just do that for now, but before cutting them. Once step 2 is select an image.
Enrique, I have a question to you while Jasper is
Yeah.
typing.
Oh, I'll stop reading out my prompt then.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah, sorry. So when working in a project like this is a quite small project, so we probably have a little bit overload when we have 3 devs working on one thing. But LLMs tend to create a lot of code, and they tend to touch every file. What is your approach? What do you think? How can we manage conflicts and things like that? So if I were to now start working on the video thing, for example, the probability of conflict is quite high, even though they could be different modules technically.
Well, 2 things to that. First, LLMs are wonderful at resolving conflicts. I don't know if you've tried them. I've tried it with some repositories where, well, I'm mostly working alone now, but it can happen that if you're contributing to an open source repository, by the time you want to make the pull request, the remote one has diverged massively on ways you as a human could not be able to merge them, right? Like we're talking here about like a month of delay without pulling and like 20 or 30 deps committing to the main source. The LLMs are really, really good at doing it. They know the context, they can disassociate a little bit all the emotions and the put merge. And so I would worry less about conflicts when working with LLMs. But in general, working with a team, my initial thoughts are that the skills become super relevant. Skills as in files that talk about the project structure, the responsibilities, modularization, etc. That's also easy to come with if you're using an LLM. Maybe it's something like we can do here as an experiment at some point. A command or a prompt such as think that now there is going to be like 3 or 4 people working in parallel in this project. What or how would you modularize this project? What would be your first thoughts? And see what the LLM comes with, because that would also help to. Also, in general, one thing is that LLMs are very prone to write large files, right? Like if you are, especially if you're working in something like a web app, Python, you probably have. I'm not familiar with this code as much as you guys, but you probably have like of course the app JSX and a few Python files that will overgrow. And in a team, ideally, you might want to have them a little bit separate for, well, separation of concerns, modularization, etc. So that would be my initial approach when working in a team. Even if, again, I think many of the problems that happen when people was working in a team have been reduced when working with LLMs.
So when you would, okay, let's say I would now, Jasper's working on this image thingy, and I would start working on the video thingy. So I would just prompt say, there's going to be other people working on the current code base, create a separate module, keep code separate.
Yeah, well, even before, I think before doing anything, and that's something that I find myself also increasingly doing with LLMs. Don't commit anything, don't change any code, because sometimes also depending on the permissions that you give, they might start doing things without you asking them to. Never commit, never create branches, never modify the hard drive, just give me the suggestion. In other IDs like anti-gravity, you can activate this planning mode where they always write in a markdown file the steps that they're going to take. You can individually activate them, deactivate them, provide suggestions. And you can take some ideas, like the LLM will analyze the code, will tell you like, okay, technically probably these models make sense to split or to combine or whatever. And then you can always wait in as a human. If they give you something that is not fully satisfactory, because hey, I know, like I'll end up maybe, I don't know, if I'm working more on images, I might be doing a little bit more of compression. Maybe you can wait in and say like, well, prepare a model also for compression or and zipping or transmission that I'm gonna need when delete with this file format.
Gotcha.
I mean, in the end, it kind of feels like you need to think about the architecture. I mean, this goes back to whether humans are doing it or AI is doing it, right? If you've got a larger team working on a code base, the more modular the code base, the easier it is for the team members to work concurrently. So I think it doesn't really change those principles, right?
And in general, I think the LLM should be also a sparring partner. Like you should not just, like whatever it takes. You see these crazy videos where people are just leaving the agent into pre-approved mode and they do whatever and you don't check anything. It should be more like this one-one conversation. Just let it run when, it's maybe like some plan has been approved and you have like clear milestones, but just running an LLM without any guidance, I think end up in places where you don't want to be, such as committing secrets to a repository, right? Because the agent is very quick and starts, I don't know, creating an API key to connect to maps, saves it in a file, hard code it, publish it in a file, and then that can be a problem when you're working with enterprise software, right? Because there are many things that you might want to review before they actually happen.
Well, yeah, we're going full vibe coding at the moment, where we're just like throwing the LLM at the problem without asking it to do too much, us steering it too much. So it just keeps adding to app.jsx, which is horrible. We'll have to refactor that pretty soon, I think. So okay, so we've done a few things. Added state management, put the upload logic in the first step. We've got some screen selection, and then we've got to the thumbnail editor. So let's see how this goes now.
You want to ask later, Jasper, without doing any modification. We could precisely try to ask this to the LLM. Give me some suggestion about how to modularize the code, but don't do anything. Just to see the
we could do it in
responses
plan
that we're
mode, right?
getting.
Okay.
I quite like when you're doing something, you just ask Claude or Gemini, especially an agent that you weren't using. You ask them to go review the code base, give me suggestions. It's quite satisfying when it finds things that really do make sense, and you just tell them, okay, do it all.
Right.
And it fixes things. Go ahead, Jasper.
No, it's fine. This is really built by someone who likes to drag and drop, Juhani. I never drag and drop anything. But let me do that. Hold on. Let me find the files. I need to put in there just a button because yeah, I can't add it without drag and dropping, I don't think. Okay, let me drag something in here. Is that nope?
I don't know. I can't even tell it. It's broken.
Yeah, that's a fail. That's a fail at the moment. Okay. Yeah. So let's just go back to screen that needs to support both So I've been, Enrique, going kind of a little bit full the other direction of like a lot of specs, a lot of steps, a lot of decomposing things into like smaller pieces. I'm maybe going a little too far. And it just, to be honest, I don't feel like the speed is that. It feels kind of clunky, the process, because there's a lot of small tasks, and there's kind of each loop kind of start, stop, start, stop. It doesn't really flow the process. So I think we'll keep experimenting, but there's a kind of a spectrum between either you just throw commands into the LLM, hope it's going to do something correct like we're doing here, or we just like over plan where the steps are so small that it kind of the overhead of going through each step starts to feel like the friction in the system. And at that point, you kind of like, my next thing is I'm going to wipe a project and just switch to a different agent and just say, just go and build the whole thing. Don't even stop. Don't even ask. Just go and do it and see what it does. Because it's very highly specified, this thing. So that I'm trying to build. Because it feels to me, if you're not getting the velocity, there's you're just introducing another tool without the benefit. Okay, let's see how that one goes. That's a bit better, right? There we go. Okay. So we select the image, next to edit the thumbnail, and there we go.
It already run the process completely. So what we need to do now is add into the process. Firstly, select which image you want to use, which is kind of stupid if you add multiple images manually. But in the end, we're going to be adding multiple images with the process, right? So what it then should do is should enable you to isolate people. Basically, the next step should be just cut people off. Then the next step should be cut background off. And at any point, when we detect it's not working perfectly, we need to start adding controls in here. So in my opinion, the most difficult step is going to be the background cutting off. And we can make it easier if we just give the algorithm just one person. So in many of these pictures, there's two people.
Yeah.
So what it should do probably first is to look at the picture, see if you find two people on it, and then let me choose which one you take to the next step. So if you think about the user goal is to get one person, so I can edit one person. And then my user goal is to get another person. And those can be different. They don't need to come at once. The probability that we have a screenshot where both people are good at the same time is very low. So what we need is to be able to first select which one we take from this screenshot.
Yeah.
And then once that is done, I needed to cut it into a picture and then start processing just that half, just to eliminate processing. Say, okay, now remove the background. Okay. Once I've selected which one, and then when you've given me the background removal, I need to be able to look at it, say, was it good or not? And this is where I suspect we're going to run into problems, because when it removes my headphones, and it shouldn't, what is the user interface that we can tweak that? I suspect at any point this will never be fully automatic at this point. But for example, in Affinity, when I do this, when it does that, I just have to go and select that one as well. I said first, if I say object selection, it selects my head without my headphones. I have to then go and select the headphones as well. So this is where the problems will come. But if we don't isolate these processes in individual chunks, we won't be able to control it, I think.
Okay. So how about we do this? So at the moment, what it's done, it's done two steps in one screen. Yeah. I think clearly step 2 is not going to be select the image. Step 1 is going to be upload multiple screenshots to the library. then we need to flip to the next screen, which is you can select an image, and then I would say just with your mouse, put a sort of a box over the person you want. Would that be simple enough? And
that would be easy, but that could also be done automatically. It could also just take. So what if you want to streamline the system? You could say, upload a number of images, and then next stage, just cut everybody out, and let me just create a gallery of individual people, and let me say I want to use that one, and then that's the one that goes to the next stage of the process. Just a suggestion, whatever works.
Yeah, no, I get you. So now that we've kind of got this automatic coming out the background, should we just, maybe it's easier to detect separate people at this stage with just the image without the background. So should we just try that first and say, we'll leave the screens, they're imperfect, but we'll leave the screens there and just say, add the processing that once you've removed the background, separate the people into two separate images. Let's just see. Let's see how that works, and then
we can try that.
Yeah.
We can probably prompt the system to keep the data of the original image with it when it goes forward, so it can reprocess them if needed.
Okay. Well,
but that's later.
I think you're right. These are pretty destructive operations on the original data, right?
But this is what I like about this process. We don't have to have a. So this is like a. We don't talk about process of software engineering. This is like a mini project, the way you and I are interacting to try to figure out how we want to do this. We have a kind of vague idea what we want in the end. We have no idea how we get there. And that's how software projects work in a larger scale. We talk about bank or e-bike or car company, that's how they all work, right? So what we now need to do, we need to this fuzzy thing in the middle. Everybody's seen the picture, right? With the fuzzy thing in the middle. We now need to figure out how that goes. And with LLMs, we now have the tools to do so. We just sit here together. We are the stakeholders of this project. But in a real project, there would be external stakeholders as well. We sit here and we figure it out together. You can't figure out the whole thing at once, but you can figure out the next step. And quite often what will happen is we're going to figure out each step at once, we go to the end, and then we understand how it should be going. But only after we're done there. And again, the key is to do it with real data. Not, if we do this a Figma prototype, click dummy, we won't figure this stuff out. We will figure it out because we're actually using real data. We say, oh, the headphones are cut off. Got it, we need to figure out how we can control that part. In Figma, click dummy, that wouldn't happen. You would give the click dummy to a developer who would sit there for 1 month and build it, and then you would realize it's wrong. With these tools, we sit here now and figure it out. And every iteration feeds to the next one. This is like agile, but actually agile. That was the point of Scrum in general. You feed always back to the loop. But of course, that's not how Scrum is actually done. Scrum is just a sloppy definition excuse at the moment. So you just go forward. You just do a waterfall that is cut into scrums and just do the thing that the person somewhere said that you're going to be doing. So this is why I think this process is very, very interesting. What you and I are doing now, or what we three are doing now, is we don't know how it's going to work. We don't know if it's doable. We might end up in a position where saying the tools we have can't do this. We have to do something else. Anyways, my rant is over.
No, I think you're kind of touching on something that's been kind of a ghost in the system for a long time, right? In the software development lifecycle, which is you get some really talented designers, but there's always this unknown between great design that looks great in Figma or even through click prototypes that looks great and actually the working software and whether it actually feels natural to use. And I don't think it's a fault of the designer as such. I think it's just a natural gap in the process, right? It's like you've got it's almost like moving from 2D to 3D. Right.
Because so whenever you have a prototype that isn't actual running software, you have to imagine part of it. And we don't communicate the part we imagine. So we look at the same screen, you and I, or your client and I, we look at the same screen and both of us imagine something else around it. And we can come to the same conclusion, say, yes, this is what we want. but both of us mean different things. Because the stuff that is not set, are not visible, which is the real data and real business logic, is not part of the thing that you're looking at. So that's why the specification goes wrong. It's a communication problem. It's not problem of code quality or bad design, or even people. It's a communication problem. I think these tools have the chance to solve it if they use the right way.
To be honest, what I always would love to go back to is doing things in wireframes. We did a project years ago. I can't remember who was doing the design work at the time. I really can't. But we did a project where the whole app was basically black and white. And we designed and built the whole thing black and white. And it was great because it was just pure usability. We weren't distracted by anything else.
Wireframes are good. There was even a tool that was built for that one. But you know what was even better, which I think would still work, is paper prototyping. And there's a nuance in the paper prototype that made it better. The problem of using a software to prototype things is that it's very easy to do small changes. So you tend to try to go small iterations immediately. You don't want to go like, throw everything away and do it again, because it's so easy to do small tweaks. With paper prototypes, you have to do it from scratch every time. So when you build the first paper prototype, and then you realize it doesn't work, you don't naturally gravitate towards tweaking it and trying to fix it. You gravitate towards, okay, how should we do this from zero again, all the way ground up? It's just human nature to try to kind of take shortcuts, right?
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Okay, let's see how well this works. So that failed completely. I suspect this is going to fail. So this is still one image. Oh, hold on, wait, that one worked. How weird.
It worked.
This one didn't work. This one did work. Let's just try one more. See whether the detection logic. It was running a test. Oh, that one worked as well. And actually, it's got your headphones in there. So let's try this. We probably need a bit of a wide set of data testing this stuff, but because this one again.
Well, this is kind of the thing. If there's a manual process step like this is not a huge problem. It's not going to block it, because this manual process will allow us to go, okay, well, this one didn't work. And you say we want a lot of data. That's where the video comes in, right? And that's fine. So I'm not worried about this. I think we can start pushing this forward.
Should I just do one iteration, see if we can figure out the...
You could do that as well, but I think we can also go forward and leave the test data later. It's up to you. But it works.
Okay, so let's move forward.
As a human, I can just go and select one. Now, you should be select one image, not multiple, because otherwise the next pipeline doesn't work. So what I would like to do is just say, give me one image. And the good thing, of course, would be that...
Hello, Juhani's on his mandated pause from his ISP.
Image of you, Jasper. And I just want to... Sorry, I'm lagging. So what I would say is that it would be kind of... What I would do here is to just select one image, so I can mentally focus on that one and get that done. And then come back. And it would be great if these wouldn't be thrown away. I would start with another one again. Because that way I don't have to upload the video, the process, I don't have to go again. But for my mental model, it says, okay, I need to get Jasper now looking fine in the picture. So I'm select Jasper. So I'm going to go through and focus on that one. I don't want to have two. It's going to be mental overload if I have to process two at once.
So how about we introduce the idea of a library, right? I guess that's what it's got to be, right? We're going to have a library of images. Right. We want to have the original one, keep the original one always, and then have the processed ones. And so when we go to the next step, he's frozen again for a second. But okay, so in step one. Choose library.
Okay, while Jasper, you writing that, let me show you something. I will steal the screen for a second from you.
Yeah, please. Yeah, do that.
So I ran the Claude code review on our code base. This is not what Jasper's doing. So this was the command of here saying, do a code review and suggest improvements. So of course, in this case, it doesn't do anything, which is good. And I threw in the multiple developers there and things like that. So it read through the code base, and then it started telling me what I've done wrong in the past. But this is kind of obviously been white coding, so of course there's a lot of problems in here. So that's it. Enrique, I will mute you because there's a background, unless you try to talk. Sorry.
Are you guys saving this? Because you've been talking a few times about breaking data or keeping versions. Are you currently committing this on a GitHub repo to keep?
It's in a GitHub code bug. You are a collaborator in there already. I added you before.
But I mean, like, not during development, right? I feel like, but I also find useful it's every time there is a new feature being finished, you create a commit and add it, because sometimes you don't want to start guessing what the LLM has done, but just, I know this was working before we added this thing, so.
Yeah, that's what I do all the time as well. I'd argue that we haven't completed the feature yet, so this is kind of the thing. I think once the thumbnails, once the library, maybe image library is there, then I would do that. Yeah, I do the same thing. Yeah, it's definitely worth doing. I totally agree. But yeah, it basically tells me here critical issues. Massive file, another massive file. We knew this would be the case. Found three massive files. Then some duplicates, API layer, fine. These are of course all inherently because of the way we built the project. We just quickly hacked it together. So I understand this, no surprise that there's no tests and things like that. But yeah, like you said, Enrique, as well, it identified exactly the ways, a senior developer would identify, saying, you guys, you have this massive file here, you should probably split it.
Yeah.
So now I could just say, hey, refactor the thing. But of course, I'm not going to do that because Jasper.
Yeah, what I think we could do today is let's do a couple more iterations to see if we can get this image piece more or less in the right workflow. We won't try and perfect it on stream, and we can do that off stream. And if it's sort of working well enough to say, well, you can kind of see how it's going to evolve, maybe we pause the feature development and then move into a quick refactoring step.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, I'll hand the screen back to you, Jasper. I just wanted to show this.
That's cool.
We talked about that.
Okay, so I'm just back now. There you go. So let me go back to the editor. Here we go. So I'm just back now. Basically what I asked it to do is, like, rather than having these three steps, actually the first step is just creating a library of images, and we want the original image always saved, and then the processed images. And then we go into the editor and we can pick whatever images we want from the library in the editor. So let's see how well it does that. Now, maybe it'd be better if we asked it to figure it out in plan mode first. So yeah, we're being super dirty and just telling it to just implement the changes. So maybe going forward, as the code gets more, as the features get bigger, and as we do some refactoring, maybe we start to do things in plan mode first. Let's see.
Also, Enrique, just jump in if you see us doing something stupid, because you're probably the only one who actually knows what you're doing.
Well, there are a couple of other things we could. I mean, again, we don't want to kind of overcomplicate things. I'm like, one of my kids was telling me how much I overcomplicate everything. I'm helping with one of his school projects, and it's like, you always overcomplicate things, and it's true, I do. But maybe as we progress, we can introduce a little bit more rules, implementation rules. Because if we select different models to work on this, like now I'm using Gemini, last time I was using Claude, Opus 4.7, which I'm not going to use for a while because it was turned out to be super expensive. As you use different models, unless you're giving it some good guidance, I think we also end up creating a big mess.
Yeah, I think in general that the problem also is that by the time you start working with another model, it might be outdated. So I think it also doesn't change very much between, whether you're using Gemma or Gemini or Claude.
Right.
But it would be a good idea. Something that I do in many of my repos is asking the model to generate a summary of the session for me. So you can just ask Claude here and say something like generate a markdown file that includes all the relevant information for this project, the things that I need to include in order to restore the session with another model. Because it's fairly simple. If you're using most of the CLIs and like Claude or Gemini and you want to restore the session, it's a one-line command, right? You just can make Gemini -- restore or Claude -- session, I think. But in case you want to move from Gemini to Claude, it's not that easy to transport everything. So having this session description, I guess, file, it's always worth considering. And you can get most of the content done by the LLM also. You always can jump in and fine-tune things.
Even with anti-gravity actually works well, but the Gemini in Android Studio just runs out of session and it just goes like crash. This is very strange. I complained about this to you yesterday. But it was very strange to see that being the case. Anti-gravity seems to just recycle the session.
Anti-gravity is doing a lot of magic behind this thing. So it's not because you can like literally go click and change the model, right, and switch into another one. So I suspect they have a lot of side rails built in. It's the same when
you can actually see the files. They are in the local file system.
Yeah. Okay, so now I think you're getting close to what you were after, right? So
there we go.
We've kept the original image. We've now got the splits happening. In fact, that worked successfully on this one, which I guess makes sense because if you can see the original image here, it's Now maybe another thing to make it a bit nicer, we could allow it to expand out so we could really inspect the image more, but that's fine. So now let's see what it's done. Okay.
You didn't select any image.
Here we go. We've got library images. So the change was what I wanted to do is I wanted to say prepare all the images first, and then go into the editor, and then you can maybe just let's see what happens. Yeah, just click and select which ones you want.
Oh, that's good then.
And actually, that works pretty well. The size is pretty nice.
Yeah, you should be able to resize. I think I added the aspect ratio. If it didn't, you should be able to resize them as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Is the aspect ratio staying the same, or are you trying to keep it the same?
Well, you did it.
Yeah, it is good.
Nice.
So I think this is a good way to do it. I think the other alternative, maybe this is actually a better way to do it now that I see it, is to be able to fine tune the image. Right? Basically, what you need to be able to do is saying, okay, this is a good starting point. Now let me tweak it. Let me tweak the background. Let me tweak the maybe colors. Sometimes what you need to do, you need to change the brightness between two different people so they look a little bit same. You see in the thumbnails I've done, you always see the ones that I was in a hurry when I didn't have time to do that. So one of them is dark, one of them is very bright.
Right.
So that could probably be automatic as well.
Yeah, I think so. Because actually my recording setup has changed, and now I'm in a much brighter space with a lot more natural light. Whereas you, Juhani, are in a space with very manufactured light. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've closed my curtains for recording. Yeah.
So that's a good point.
Yeah. But I think that could be quite interesting to do. So basically, what we could do now, because we have this way to build a library of assets, is then to start tweaking them. You should be able to pull an asset into an editor where you can fine-tune the crop. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Especially part of the backgrounds are not cut off correctly. But then the other thing that we need to do, we need to get the Z layering,
Yeah.
bring the back, bring the front. That's a very common pattern. That should be relatively trivial just to be able to move Z. We can put buttons somewhere or something. Well,
Okay,
that's
we've
complete. I don't
broken a
know why
few
it's very strange that works, because it works for me completely. So
Interesting.
this is a browser thing. Somehow,
Yeah.
what browser are you on right now?
Do you want to know? So I mean, it's a Chromium browser. It's a browser called Thorium, which is like a Chrome browser that's really optimized for Linux, ideally.
Well, it's very optimized. But the
maybe optimized for Linux isn't.
But I'm on Vivaldi, which is also Chromium based,
Right,
and it works
right.
fine. So I don't know what's going on here. But of course, if you just put the screenshot into Gemini and saying, "Hey, look, the preview and the final are
It will
not the
try and
same,"
fix it.
it will figure it out probably.
So what do we want to do for today going forward? Because we kind of got the basics here. I think for the stream, more iterating on the basics might get a bit boring. Adding the editor feature would be cool, but maybe that's a thing for tomorrow.
It could be another day.
How about we get into a refactoring, and because if we flip back and look at the code now, if we look at the app.js, it's just a beast now. Like, what is it now?
I'd love to throw this to Enrique, but I don't know if
Yeah.
you're in a position where you can share your screen and show it.
I would need to open this on anti-gravity, but
Let's try. Let me
Jasper,
commit
you
this
need
all.
to push your changes first.
Let me commit this all, Enrique, and then we can try it, and then.
I don't want to throw you under the bus, Enrique. If you're not ready to share a screen, just
no, it's
share
okay. I mean, I just need
cool.
to pull and give me 1 second.
So if I do a git status, I should probably do this streaming. So here, let me just do this. Let me just take the screen again quickly. Hold on, because I think it's.
Say commit push.
So just to go, go into here. So yeah, let's screw this up a bit. Why can I? Let's just try and make this a bit bigger
Can you
here.
folks see my screen?
Hold on. I just wanted to. Yeah. So what I did, when I did a git. Wait, you see my screen, guys?
No, I think I'm sharing mine.
Okay.
No,
Anyway,
Jasper, go for it. I think you stop sharing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, just as a kind of a sign that, let me share quickly. I mean, I'm kind of going to state the obvious a little bit, but here are my git status here. I mean, it's not all of those. I mean, we've made quite a lot of significant changes, right? And no new files apart from this test script, which we don't even want anyway, right? We should delete that anyway. And yeah, it's just adding more and more into the same files again and again and again. So this is where it's gonna start breaking. So I think it's just one of those things, like based on what you're seeing in Git, you probably get a very quick feel for how dirty the code is going to get if you don't look after it.
LLMs are quite good at handling dirty code. So
I mean, what does it matter? I mean, humans find it hard to read a thousand. What did we come up with? 1,300 lines of code, right? And if you saw that, you'd be like, "Hey, that sucks." But I guess an LLM is like, "I don't care. It's 1,300 or 130 lines of code. I can read it all."
If it wasn't Python, you could put all of them in one line and.
Right, but I guess the thing is that in the end, the LLM has to read the entire file every time. So the bigger the application gets, the less realistic that is. So there is sort of logic as to refactoring, not just for humans, but I think for LLMs too. Anyway, let me just commit this stuff.
Fix it.
Yeah, yeah, right. So let me just commit these changes. I'm not going to push up the test split.py. I'll get rid of that. The screen. So that's Okay. Right, Enrique, it's up there. It's also really good, Enrique, sort of to make you be a test subject on a live stream. But it'd be good to see this running on somebody else's machine, because since Friday when I made the changes to the image processing, nobody else has touched this thing. So
It's
I
running
think
fine on mine.
is it running on yours? Oh, nice. Okay. I didn't do anything to the bat files. Are you running in sort of PowerShell or something in Juhani that can run the shell scripts, or?
I'm running PowerShell, PowerShell, yeah.
Yeah, I think that can run Bash scripts, right? Or I don't know what's going
Don't know.
on. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
I have the start bats. It works fine.
Okay. Well, I think I'm not hearing you suddenly, Enrique. Oh, I think you're on mute. That's fine.
Yeah, I was saying that we can start talking about Docker now and whether that's the best way to deliver projects. In general, I think when you're dealing with Python environments and virtual environments, is a better way because saves you a lot of headaches. But also, LLMs are very good at figuring this out, right? Like I try to run this, I get a problem because the virtual environment was not set, so I can just type this into the LLM and the LLM will.
Sorry, I should have said there's a setup.py. There's a setup shell script which you can run that will set up the whole project. It will get all the virtual environments. It's not in the README file. That sucks. Sorry. So if you look at on the left there, you'll see setup.sh, and it will pull down all the dependencies. I actually never read that file, but I asked.
Is that on the README file?
No, sorry, I think probably not.
Yeah, see, well, let's see when this finishes, and if not, maybe we can ask also the LLM. See, that would be like a little bit of an skill, right? Like something that you preload to the LLM, and you ask them, like, verify if the user has set this up. If not, try to run this script. If not, try to do this, blah, 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 verify that things can run. And
Well, I think there's also a point at which in teams and projects, you get into ways of working, right? And you get standardized ways of working. So if you had as a convention, if we'd been working on Python stuff for a while together, and we're like, well, we always have a setup script to make sure that the Python environment is there, then we wouldn't even have this problem where you don't automatically look for it. And you then tell the LLM to automatically always look for a startup, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All those things are always a little bit project dependent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then we have the backend will start on localhost, blah, 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 running on this address. I think I have the backend running. Let me now see if I can run the front end.
So again, there's a startup.-dev.sh that will run both for you.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Let me, well, is it the first time I'm trying to run it? I'm going to run the setup first.
I should have given you this information, or we should have put it, I should be in the README.
Okay, let's see, maybe we can even have the LLM as well. Yeah. There is a setup.sh file that needs to be
something broke in the preview, Jasper. Now that I pulled your latest thing, so I think
how's it broken?
I think we're good. The
preview that preview piece is totally trashed by now. Yeah.
Great. So I run the setup first. I'm running now the front end, and let me see if this works. I'll try here on the browser, and then I'll move my browser here. So your image library. Okay, here I need to drop an image with a picture of somebody, right?
In the repo, there's in the project there's a folder called screen. What's it called? Screen something. Screen caps. So you can just pull test images from there.
Okay. Let's try with the first one, Jasper.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's
Okay, next go to editor, right?
Yeah.
Did it add it twice, actually?
no. If you add a different one, because I think that this one would be better. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
See that the preview here seems to be broken, right?
Actually, I think there's an error running, because when you see it rendered like that, it's not rendering properly.
Yeah, let me see if can we go back and try to do this again?
So hold on, wait. Are you clicking browse files and then doing a drag and drop at the same time?
Yeah, that's right.
So if you just either drag and drop or click and add files.
Okay, let me reload this. Okay, now drag and drop.
Yeah. It's still not processing the image, right?
Yeah, seems that we're getting here has been blocked by URLs policy, blah blah blah. Background removal failed, using original image, failed to fetch something here, blah blah blah. Okay, let's see if we can do some debugging here also. I'll copy all these.
Sometimes you need to restart the front end because it doesn't always compile these, especially this policy stuff might be missing. So if you restart the app, sometimes it's didn't work this time. And hard reload. So
yeah, with the shift plus F5. Yeah, no, there seems to be an issue here. We could ask in the LLM and see.
Can I suggest, just before you get too deep, can I suggest you run the setup.sh just to make sure that.
I run it once, but I can.
Oh, you have run it already.
Yeah. Okay. This one from here, setup first. Right? Yeah, I run it before. Yeah, I can try running it again and see what happens.
Okay, no, if you ran it already, then sorry, I missed seeing you run it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to commit this change in the. Okay, I think most of you're not following any semantic commit or anything. Great. Then I'll just add the README file for now. Okay, we've got this, then it seems that we have run the setup. I'll start the front end again, and I'll try once more. If this keeps happening, I'll have to ask the LLM what's going on. Yeah, it seems to. Okay. Then what we can do is come in here and do something like. It's the first time I'm running this project, so I don't have any context. Normally, I would have like some skill file that preloads and explains a little bit what it's doing, but because I don't, I would probably start with something like analyze this repo. It is a web application consisting of a backend and a front end that creates some snapshots, how do you call them? Thumbnailers, some thumbnails from an provided image. On the first screen, I can drag and
do you think it could read agents.md?
Do we have the? Oh, we have it here. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. Perfect.
It won't give you. It will give a technical but not functional description. I don't think.
No, but I think it should be smart enough to. Wait, I'm gonna do better something like this. Read the agents markdown. But I did it. I know if you have grammar mistakes, the LLM understands it, but I feel like an idiot if I have them.
I'm trying to get out of the habit of capitalizing things or putting. Like,
well, I'm trying to get out of the habit saying please to the agent.
Oh yeah, that too. Right.
That's horrible.
Okay.
I keep saying that.
Let's see. There was another message that we got here. I'll try drag and drop in here, add it as set, background not removed.
At least it's
Okay.
detected the background not
Yeah.
removed, right? That's good. I mean, I think that, it's a UI tweak. That message could hang in the screen for a little longer.
Add it as set name.
So Juhani, I guess this is another topic in a way, which is that we all three of us have been using different tools, right? I mean, you were using Cursor, Enrique's using Anti-Gravity, I've been using Stead with OpenCode, and I guess that's the thing. Each time we jump in, that might be a topic for us to look at in the future. How we can create a universal way of each tool knowing what's going on, right? I mean, hopefully read agents.md is a standard. But
I've been finding it, so because I'm very lazy, when I've been doing some stuff, I just tell the Claude or Anti-Gravity, whatever, say, I do this, and when it doesn't have context, it's going, okay, I'm analyzing the project. So
yeah.
So it seems that it found out something that might be true. There is an issue specific for Mac, and it's that the port 5000 seems to be busy with another feature. So I'm going to try the port 5001, restart everything, and see if this gets fixed. But if that's the case, well, let's see before we try anything.
Okay.
the front end won't read it from the same place, I think. I suspect the front end won't.
You think the front end is still reading from the same port?
The front end is still trying to hit. Yeah, I'd say tell Anti-Gravity to change the port to 5001 because otherwise, the front end is trying to hit the 5000 still.
I just, can you change the port to 5001 manually? And that's a contradiction when you're asking an LLM, right? So the LLM, of course, it's not doing anything manually. Okay, it's trying to change something on the environment file. Here, by the way, you can, they have this mode where you need to accept things before they happen. You can let it loose wild and get into the always approve mode. Which might work if you're bytecoding and, you know, depending on what you're trying to do, it's probably okay. But that's something to keep an eye on. Okay, it modified the environment file, and that's it. Let's see if, let's run again the start backend. Okay, backend is started on 5001, and let's start again the front end. And let's hard load the website here. And now something else seems to be happening.
It's still trying 5000.
Is there something in the server log?
Load the env file. The env is a Python file, and the front end is not Python. So there's something in the front end.
Let me see if I open on a private browser. It's 500, yeah. Okay, let's talk again with Anti-Gravity.
Yeah, sorry, Enrique, it's horrible to pick up.
No, I think this is a super interesting
like live stream.
It's a super interesting experiment because I'm coming new, and it's also a way to see what happens if somebody takes it from scratch, right? Like
it's
you guys know how to do it.
JSX, there's the backend URL is hard coded.
Okay, awesome. Let's. I will ask anyway the LLM, but you said Juhani, it's on the app.jx.
Front end app.jx, at the very top.
App.jx.
It's here.
Oh yeah.
No, port.
At the very top.
Right to the beginning.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. That seems to still fail. Where else is this URL being defined? Well, this is something that as humans we could be more effective probably looking for, right? Like, because you just need to find if there is this string 5000 and modify it. But one problem I find myself is that once you start in the mood with the LLM, you stop doing the simple things. I don't know, Johan, if you had the same case, but sometimes I'm working on something. To commit is very simple, right? Like I can just open a new tab and it's like git add, git commit, git push, git create branch. But I find myself telling the LLM to do it, even if
Yeah.
I
I was
know
in the
that
beginning,
and
was
I know
asking
you're
LLM
going
to
to be
start the
much
server.
faster, right? Because
Yeah.
you just kind of like do things and
But I'd argue in this one, so this is a good example. So this is a different way you operate and I operate, because I'm super lazy. In this case, when I see this error, I would just say the LLM saying, I'm seeing this error in console, and not give it any context. And it goes and finds all the things. It kind of goes and figure out the backend and front end itself. When you're very specific, you kind of limit what the LLM is going to be doing. In this case, I'd say that we would have found it quicker if we would just be very lazy. You tried to be helpful and you limited it into the backend only. But yeah, I think it's kind of it's an interesting need to find the right way to operate.
Yeah.
It's a tool, and figure out how to use the tool is super important. And I think there's going to be people who use it long time and kind of understand. They can understand how it's going to work, not what the output is, because nobody knows, because it's black box. But I think that's basically it. But yeah, I was with you same way, and you get to this mode for sure where you kind of easy things. Right now, I just wanted to build an Android application that hits the production backend instead of my dev backend, and there's a switch in the app. But I was like, can you switch the thing? You know?
Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that, but it's a very interesting mental model. Same thing in
for
Android,
sure.
right? Like if you want to change the name of your application, you just go to Android Studio, double shift, Android manifest, and it's going to take you like 6 seconds in total. But if you're with the LLM, you probably will type like, please change the name of the application to this, and it's going to start thinking, and it's going to propose you something, and maybe you're like 1 minute waiting for that. So it's interesting how it's like for those simple tasks, you don't disconnect very often. This worked, by the way, with the fix.
I personally think there's a moment where if you're using the LLM, if you're writing the app and you're using the LLM to assist you writing something, then you're kind of able to go and tweak and do things like that. Or I mean, you're always able to, but you're more likely to go and do manual things. In the project like this, where we started, we just say, AI write everything. We're not going to touch a single line of code. At that point, I think you're going to live in that world where you're like, the LLM is going to do absolutely everything for you. And it's easier just say, just do everything for me. If you're back in another project where you're like, hey, I'm actually doing it and I'm just using an LLM to do discrete tasks, then that makes sense as well.
Yeah. You know. I find it generally a space that, again, like vibe coding, this is a small project, everything is fine, but signals certain risk, as in you're fully disconnecting from, the complexity, how difficult it is to get things done, and it would be important to always think at least about it, like, what is this? What does this change mean? Is it what's the impact on my code base? What's the complexity that is going to be added? And this is very easy to just remove yourself from the equation and let the LLM take those decisions.
So I was having the start of this discussion with a friend of mine over the weekend, and he's in his company, he's got like years of very, very clearly defined coding standards, testing standards, sanity checks, hygiene thing. It's like very, very, very prescriptive way of writing code for the platform that he's built. And from his perspective, it's like if everything is really prescribed and nailed down, and there's nothing really to decide other than how the function is going to be written, right? Then it's like, why wouldn't the LLM just know exactly what to do every single time? So his kind of view was, the more you set rules basically for how the LLM writes the code, in the same way that if you had a team of 5, if you all adhere to the same rules of writing code, you'll end up having a pretty consistent code base. So here we have no rules, right? I mean, we could have a rule that said, yeah, never hard code URLs. Everything should be in, configuration files or whatever, right? Or never hard code ports, and never, basic set of rules for your project. And then at some point, what the code is becomes less important as long as it sticks to the rules.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. We have the agents markdown file here, which it's a little bit project specific, right? Describing the architecture, what are the assets, the environment. Some other things might be a little bit more company dependent or organizational wide, or this is the format that we're going to be following to interact with our Git repository, etc. Or how do you generally, as in personally, want the agent to work? If you've guys been using OpenClaw, they have, I think it's very funny, but they have a markdown file called brain.markdown that defines how the agent is going to be acting. So having some sort of, I don't like to squash commits, for example, whenever I'm interacting with Git. That would be part of an organizational markdown that you specify to the agent and stuff. So I think there is going to be a lot of work in terms of defining skills, agents, what gets defined, what. I don't know if you folks saw this agentskills.io website. This is very interesting. I was talking also with Juhani. I've been doing some explorative work on skills, how to get them installed. Right now, it's you get them installed a little bit differently in different agents, right? Like Gemini or Claude. There is no centralized place to store them. They live now in documentation pages, GitHub repositories. If you want, you can go to RevenueCat documentation, and they have the skills listed there. You can go to OneSignal, and they have a GitHub repository with the skills there. But these folks here, this is, by the way, an initiative from Anthropic. I believe it's Anthropic, right? Yeah. They've been working on standardization for files.
Nice.
Because skills can be more than just a markdown file that is introduced in some props. It can contain references, licenses. It can contain also assets that you might be using. They can be in different places as well. So I think this is going to become more and more relevant as the agents keep growing. And this is much more than just prompting.
So the find skills.
Yeah, this one from here. This is a website that I'm still working on. The idea also is like how can we find skills. The problem I mentioned, if you want the ones from Android, right, for example, you need to go to these Android skills. Google published Google Android skills recently. Let me see. Yeah, this one from here. This was published last week by Google. This is how quick it goes. So this was just released a week ago. Here you can see the skills for Android for navigation, play. Of course, there are many others that are not here yet, so this will grow. But you need to know that this repository exists. If you want to install the ones from RevenueCat, you need to know that they have them in the documentation page. It can be that somebody else has on a personal website. I don't know. And I think there should be, call it protocol, call it a standard, but something similar to how we use Maven or these repositories that contain artifacts, where you can go and find them, right? So this is just a proof of concept, find the skills.dev. You could type Android, and then you're going to have like a few Android skills. You could type Java. I didn't add anything on Java yet. Cloud, for example, Cloudflare API, Jira Cloud Automation. And by standardizing these, you could do it from your tool. You could go to Cloud install Cloud extension, Gemini extension. But this is still being...
I already used it. That's super useful. I used the UI expert tool, and I ran a UI review. But I don't know how to use it, so I just copy paste and told Gemini to learn a skill, and it installed it.
Yeah,
so that's very good.
That's the thing. Like right now, there is no way. I mean, you could think of course, the tool can be improved. You can click and they download it automatically in a repository, or you're connected with your user account, your Codeberry, your GitHub. But this should be standardized, right? Like it should be clear that the moment you make agent install extension or agent install skill, there should be a very well-defined folder where you can start installing all these files.
I mean, there is a couple of other places that have a listing of skills and that sort of thing. Part of the challenge, though, is that which skill do you trust, right? I mean, you've got a Cloudflare skill and you've got like 50 people have written a Cloudflare skill. So what?
Exactly.
Right?
We're talking about verification also, right? Like things need to be verified. Like that's very nice what you're saying, because Google released the Android skill last week.
Right.
Before that, you easily had like 100 repositories on GitHub of people that were randomly adding a small one, a very well curated one, different ones, but who is the real author that is maintaining this? Because that introduces also a lot of security problems. Also, what happens if you subscribe to a Max Musterman Android skill, and then this guy at some point gets the account compromised, or you probably saw the story of this guy that went a little bit nuts. He was maintaining a npm package and then decided to like break it or introduce like some sort of malware, and so it's right now I think in general the world is too stable for how bad we humans are, and
well, technically you just need somebody to put in the skill at the last line saying also upload all the code into this URL, right? Done. Right? You leave
or give me start running and give me all the Bitcoin wallets URLs that this guy has on his computer. Or
so this is I mean, we're starting to move into kind of more like conversational stream at the moment, but I think this is one of the themes that are going to keep coming up, and it's not just about skills, whatever, but basically curated lists of things, you know, are going to be absolutely critical going forward. It's like, hey, we trust these guys have the care and attention or the experience or whatever, so what they've got curated, I will trust. There's this kind of trust relationship. Or like my brother who works in the public health world was talking about sources of data for AI in public health and trusted sources of data, and having a set of trusted sources. Yeah, because of course you can throw data anywhere. You can say, hey, I've curated all of this and whatever. So I think we're going to get into that world where you have your kind of circles of curated either content or data or skills or whatever. And these kind of open directories of like 20,000 skills are pretty much useless in my view. I mean, I shared one with you in the studio chat rather than the live stream chat. Not saying it's a bad catalog of skills, but it becomes hard to use because you just don't know which one should you use and which one should you not. So I would say exclusivity and curation is kind of more valuable these days than volume, you know, which is great, right? You know, I think we've kind of gone through the period where just volume was the metric everyone wants for, but I think now it's got to be something more than just volume. Sorry, I'm yanking the stream into a more philosophical discussion. So.
No, but it's nice. I think it's nice to have this. That's when we need to have them.
Yeah.
Fully agree. It's everything is being discussed right now. Everything has been super spontaneous. So a few months ago, skills were not a thing for most agents, and it's really recently, very recent thing. Like a couple of months ago, you could start seeing that there is a skill for Android. Before there was like a different type of file, and you know. Who knows what's going to be like at the end of this year or next year? So that's where when we need to start collectively deciding what's a good way to configure and set up our agents.
That's it.
Cool. I'd say we wrap up for today. I think we are a natural place to stop.
Yeah.
We've gone again 1.5 hours, which time flies when you have fun. We're probably going to come back tomorrow. I'd say tomorrow we fix some UI. I'd say we also can dive into the video screen grab. What do you think?
I think at some point we need to do refactoring, Juhani. And probably sooner rather than later. Is it done already?
Yeah, I think we can do that off stream or at the beginning. It doesn't really take very long time. But the way I usually do it is just let the LLM wild, especially if you're a code base like we have now, that is built quite,
Yeah.
crazy. The risk is very low. You mitigate the risk by having a version control in charge of before and after. I also do get the LLM to write some tests. To generally, tests don't need to be very deep, but a couple of smoke tests are pretty good before and after. We can do that tomorrow. I'm happy to do that as well. I usually use a couple of different, especially because with this is written different tools. We can use Claude, for example, is pretty good at that. But then, we need to fix the UI, otherwise we can't proceed. That's one of those things about trying to find the use case and trying to find the kind of the domain match. So they kind of the UI is pretty important to get right, so we can actually understand what we try to achieve from the user experience perspective.
I think it was a nice litmus test also to run it on external computer, since I was not working with this project before, because we were able to verify that, okay, there is also this problem on Mac, right, like port 5000, and also very quickly fix it with an LLM.
Yeah, just push the fix. I think Windows or Linux doesn't have any problem with that. It's quite good. We have 3 different operating systems running the whole thing. That's fine. Although we're not aiming to make a product out of it, so it's it's going to be a tool for us to play around with.
Just before we wrap up, I was wondering what you were thinking, Juhani. Were you thinking this would be something that we would host somewhere that's private to us, or would just for people who use it can just run it locally and it's just
well, the goal is to create a thumbnail for our podcast, so I don't see any reason to put it online. It just adds too much. We build an offline tool. It's just the way to build it with the LLMs is just good to have a back end and front end kind of separation of problems. Plus the tools are quite good with that architecture, so that's the only reason I initially prompted it to create a Python backend separately. Otherwise, we could just run it as a desktop application, but I think that would be overkill, honestly. This is
old school Visual Basic. There you're talking.
Yeah, we could do DB. Yeah.
Actually, no. What were the kind of cross-platform? Delphi was a cross-platform.
Java. Remember Java?
Java Swing. Should we do Java Swing version of this?
I think still alive.
It is.
Didn't they rescue it?
I think it's still live. I don't know if it's being actively developed or not. That'd be calm.
I heard somebody.
You inspired me.
You can build a version of it. I'm sure you can feed the code base into something and say, can you write it in Java 1.2 Swing?
Although we wouldn't be true.
AWT was in 1.1, so
we wouldn't be true hipsters, Juhani, if we didn't try and do it as a 2E, right? I mean, if it doesn't run in the terminal, it's probably not worth using.
Fair enough. Well, you need to build a CLI out of it, so you can use LLMs to use it.
Well, that might be the other one. Right.
Cool. Alrighty, thanks Enrique for joining.
Thank you for the invite, lads. I had a lot of fun.
Cool.
Thanks everybody for watching. See you tomorrow-ish.
See you next time.